What's up, everyone? Sebastian Castillo here, still in Bremen, Germany, still by the river, the nice boats. Not the nicest day today, but at least it's not raining. Wanted to talk about something that I heard after speaking with my cousin the other day here. Shout out to you if you're watching this. We were talking about relationships. He was lucky enough to have met a very nice girl in his last years of high school, and they're still together now, and it looks like they're pretty happy with each other. And I remarked on how he kind of lucked out, because that didn't happen for me, and it doesn't actually happen for a lot of guys, because women tend to mature faster than men. And when we're in high school, there's still a lot of young guys who are, whether it's because of a lack of proper male role models in their life, or because they just they haven't developed that correct level of emotional maturity yet. They're still not confident in themselves. They still don't know how to socialize and go out and get dates and so on and so forth, even though pretty much every guy wants to do that stuff. And so basically he was claiming that he's never had to really make a concentrated effort to get women. It was always just, he focused on himself. He happened to be in the right place at the right time. He's gone out with a couple of different girls, and it just ended up unfolding naturally, he said, which is awesome, right? Let's also consider that he's 6'4", pretty decent looking guy, pretty athletic, and from what I could tell, not an overly emotional or immature kind of guy, so pretty mature for his age. So those things definitely help. You can't deny it. And considering what he said, I'm thinking now that, I certainly have rebuttal. I have some rebuttals to it, because me personally, that was never the case. I focused on myself for the majority of my 20s. I still focus on myself, right? How do we even define that? Does it mean that you don't go out and do cold approach? Does it mean that you don't even get a profile on a dating app? Is it like you don't put a conscious effort into your style because you have the intention of looking as good as you can to attract women? Like, is that what it means, that you focus on yourself and you don't do any of those things? Or that you spend all of your time on a specific set of goals, like a financial goal, a health goal, trying to graduate from school with top grades, whatever it is, and you only do those things, you don't go out and socialize? I don't think that's a recipe for success, because if you're not in school, if you're not in some kind of environment where it's congruent with you being able to go and achieve your goals, and you have the ability or the opportunity to go socialize, it's going to be very difficult. Like, if you're working remote like me, for example, you have to really make the effort to go out and socialize. You're not going into a physical office every single day. You might have Zoom team meetings or something of that sort, but it's certainly not the same thing as interacting with people in person, whether it's by the coffee machine, the cafeteria, the elevator, the entrance, in the classroom, what have you. So that's kind of the dark side of working remote that a lot of people don't even acknowledge so much, that if you want to maintain your social skills, and I do sales, right? I do sales over the phone, so I get paid to be social in a way. But even then, it's not quite the same thing as having face-to-face, in-person interactions. So his viewpoint is kind of biased, because he had the benefit of being in a community setting, in a place where there's other young, good-looking women who are probably single and are looking for a guy. Whereas with what I practice and what I'm still trying to learn actively, cold approach and even the dating apps, whether that's on the street, whether that's in a club or in a supermarket, what have you, all the different settings, it's hard. She doesn't know you. You could be anyone. And if you don't have that kind of social proof built up where, like in his example, the girl he's dating now, if I'm not mistaken, she was aware that he had other girls. She had seen him with other girls at some point. So that also benefits him. It's something that he wasn't quite aware of. Privilege is often invisible to those who have it. And I don't mean to sound like a victim or like a lefty liberal nut job by saying that, but it is kind of true to an extent. A good-looking person, a good-looking man, is going to have girls coming to him just without lifting a finger. It's just the reality of the situation. Or if he does muster up the courage to go and speak to them, it's typically, you can imagine, going to be quite easy for him to get a conversation going and get her attracted and get what he wants from her, as opposed to a guy who says the exact same things, does the exact same things, but doesn't quite have the looks and the style or even the income to match up with that. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? So bringing this whole full circle, when a guy like my cousin, who is decent looking and tall, claims that he never had to actually learn this kind of stuff, he focused on himself and women just came to him, that's something that you got to take with a massive grain of salt. You have to take every piece of advice that comes your way with a massive grain of salt, because you have to look at who is giving it to you. Even if it's not advice, what their story, what their anecdote is. What is their situation? Why was that the result that they got? Because I never got any girls when I was in high school, and the few who actually showed any kind of interest in me were ugly. You know? So this isn't a channel that I made to rant and lament some shortcomings or issues that I had in my earlier life. It is a channel made to actually give some perspective and give you some solutions. So a solution here, and actually it's funny because I was just watching a video from another guy named Sebastian who has a program, and I'm seriously looking at it. He says the key there is you got to be more social. If you're working remotely especially, you have to dedicate time specifically to go out and be social and have the courage to open your mouth. And in addition to that, you have to be improving in every single aspect that you can, with your looks, with your fitness, with your style, with your communicative ability, your emotional intelligence. And unfortunately, even if you go out and you do those things, it's still going to be an uphill battle for you. It's still going to be pretty tough. The only advice I can give based on my current situation, that what I'm doing, and one of the main reasons I even came to Europe in the first place, is use your resources to put yourself in a position, physically, logistically, where you can go out and you can meet women every single day and night, right? What does that look like? If you're living in a small town and it's really expensive for you, if you have the means, move somewhere else where there's a lot more going on. That might mean moving to a big city. That might mean moving over here to Europe, where, especially during the summer, you've got plenty of festivals, you have people out and about on the streets, you've got lots of bars and clubs full of people, both locals and foreigners, who you can go out and you can meet. It's not even with the intention of just going out and getting laid, but rather to just socialize and meet some people, because you will. If you're staying at a hostel, for example, you're going to meet a lot of other backpackers, a lot of other people who are traveling, and more than likely they're going to be pretty open to socializing, because a lot of them don't know anyone here either. So that's one example. Or if you have a little bit more money, you stay at a nice hotel, hang out in the lobby, make conversation with people there, whatever it is that you need to do. So this video has been long enough, but bringing it full circle, you can't take a claim or a piece of advice like what my cousin said too seriously, because he's super biased based on his personal situation. And it's really not empowering. It's not helpful. Like, oh, just focus on yourself. Oh, take it from me, straight from the horse's mouth. I've focused on myself for many, many points in a long period of time. And it really didn't get me much, because I was sacrificing being social and gaining momentum and developing those skills for staying at home, staying on my grind in a routine, gym, work, reading, all of this stuff, which is good, but it wasn't balanced out by actually going out and being social. And one of the big problems too that you may not be aware of is, once you take time away from socializing, once you take time away from even just going out, hanging out with friends, family, going to new places where you're forced to shake hands and meet folks, and preferably women, you start to kind of lose it. Even if you're typically a fairly social, extroverted guy by nature, if you spend an entire month like not even seeing a good-looking woman, or not even shaking hands and meeting someone totally new, you're gonna get a little rusty. So basically, the case I'm making here is that you should make time to be social. You should make time to go out and meet people and not let that skill deteriorate, but rather go out, experiment. Sure, you're going to get rejected here and there. Sure, there's going to be some people who are open to speaking to you, some who aren't. But as long as you keep your momentum and you keep developing the skill and you implement, right? You can read, you can watch videos, but you're not just doing that. You're not becoming a knowledge and theory junkie, but you're taking the things that you are exposed to and implementing them as ideas in your life and taking action. That's going to make all the difference. So hopefully you got some value from it.